Okay, this is endyourschurch@gmail.com. That's endyourschurch@gmail.com. And this is on YouTube. This program is copyrighted by 2018 by richardpaulhobbs@gmail.com. All the information here is copyrighted, and to use this information you need to get permission from Richard Hobbs. That's me. All rights reserved. Now, we're going to talk about, this is End Yours Church, so we're going to talk about the religious aspects, but unfortunately keeping these things separate in separate categories is difficult for me to do, so I'm just going to talk. I'm in an apartment at 1 Caryl Avenue in Yonkers, New York, apartment 6. It's the third door on the right on the first floor. Up 2 steps, 1 step into the foyer, 2 steps up into the hallway of the building, then down the hall and up 2 more steps. It's a little difficult because I'm in a wheelchair, but I can get up and I can walk a few steps, and my walking's getting better. We hope as they heal my wounds, I will be able to walk and get therapy and walk correctly. But until then, I'm in the wheelchair, but I'm in an apartment, and I have a problem in this apartment. The problem is I have Section 8, and Section 8 is supposed to help me pay my rent and keep me supplied with a place to live. But the landlady has a problem, or the landlord has a problem. The emas Properties Incorporated has a problem. And it is that for some reason, the brain that controls the building, the management of the building, turns the heat off at midnight and turns it back on at 6 in the morning. It's been doing this for, 45 years that I've lived here. There's no heat at night. There's no heat. So either I have to do one of 3 things. I have to live with no heat in the building, or I have to pay for electricity to heat the building, the floor, the house, or I have to do what has to happen, and that is that I end up sick. I have physical problems, medical problems because of no heat. Now there's another problem. For 4 years, sewage comes down from above my bathroom into my bathroom. It goes into my bathtub. Sewage. Now, I have a question. How long after sewage goes into your bathtub should you wait until you use the bathtub? If you clean it out and completely and dry it, how long should you wait? But then the problem is, the sewage has been dripping out of the ceiling into the bathtub for 4 years. The only time it doesn't drip is the landlord has the super come in and temporarily fix the ceiling, so it looks like it's not leaking. And then they pass it, and then a week later, a month later, sewage is coming again out of the ceiling. And for 4 years that I've lived there, they haven't been able to fix it, except they can fix it when the inspection's there. But after that, they can't fix it. And the inspector comes in the daytime. They don't come in the middle of the night when there's no heat. So if you say anything about the heat, then instead of the Section 8 or the building or the government or the city making them put heat on in the building, they let them not put the heat on in the building, and then they let the landlady throw people out of the building. She takes them in and she throws them out, and she takes them in and she throws them out. And every time she does this, she charges them $1,000 rent, 1 month's rent, security deposit, and another month's rent to pay a real estate fee for giving you the building, the apartment building. So in most apartments, it's about $1,000 a month, a little more, maybe $1,200. So each time she changes the tenant, she gets $2,400. which I doubt she ever returns to the people, even if they keep the apartment spotless. I'm sure she has a way to keep the money. So if she can change 4 or 5 tenants a month, or even 2 a month, she's making $2,400 a month income. And these people are all poor like me, or lower class, and there's no defense for them. The court doesn't operate with an interest in my heat being on, or the attorney that I have, which is one of these free attorneys, doesn't seem to think it matters whether there's heat in the building or not. I'm supposed to pay her my portion of the rent, and if not, she can throw me out. And Section 8 pays her the rent, but she can terminate then if they refuse to pay her because she doesn't have the building operating right. So she's found a cash cow for herself, for the building. She gets all this money, and what is the money used for? Well, it's not used to pay the heat at night. I don't know what it is used for. Does she take it personally to herself? Is that fraud? Is she committing fraud by enriching herself, by taking the money that's supposed to be paid for oil to heat the building and giving it to some other purpose? And then there's depreciation of the building. For years she depreciates the building and she gets a tax benefit, but does she put that money into an account so that when the heaters need to be replaced, that there's money to replace them with? The furnace. Why is there no heat in my apartment at night from 12 midnight to 6 in the morning? Now there's heat there in the morning, except in the bedroom. In the bedroom there's never been heat. There hasn't been heat in the bedroom since I moved into the building. So now what do I have to do? I have to live in the living room. But the Section 8 comes and they inspect the place, but they pay no mind to the fact that there's no heat in the bedroom. Oh, they insist that everything be just the way HUD wants it to be. The inspectors, everything has to be just right, and puts a great burden upon me. So I end up having to spend thousands of dollars on electricity to heat the apartment. And that's not considered in any way, shape, or form when they evaluate what my resources are. When they go for the Section 8 bill and for my SSI, and what's going on here is that because I'm poor, and other people in this building are either poor or they're close to poor, the system is allowing these landlords to steal from the system. And what happens is the building ends up being deteriorated slowly but surely to the point that the building, it costs too much money to keep the building up. And then the landlords abandon the buildings. And then the government ends up spending a fortune dealing with that problem. And the buildings end up going into organizations that are pretending that they're helping to keep people housed. But somewhere there, then they're probably also having some kind of fraud where the money comes in and it doesn't get spent. I don't know exactly. But I have a case manager. She wants me to move. She doesn't want to have anything to do with straightening the problem out, which is that the landlady doesn't give heat in the building. I have a lawyer. We're in the tenant tenant court. Now, how come he wasn't let me say to the judge, I'll be glad to pay her rent when she puts the heat on at night? Why isn't that a part of the equation? Why is it only that she gets the rent, but I don't get any heat? And not just me, but 54 tenants. How come 54 tenants give her $1,000 a month, $54,000 a month, and she doesn't spend anything for heat? Now this needs to be investigated. You need to pray for me and pray for us to figure out why this poor lady is so poor that she can't put the heat on in the building. And the building needs to be condemned because there's something wrong with the building. If she's doing everything legal and right and there's no heat, then the question has to be asked, why is there no heat? And what's happening to all this money? And then maybe some people need to go to jail. But I'm just nobody, so you figure it out.